So I looked over at Shannon. She was sitting next to me in the waiting room. I wonder what they found in the MRI. I'm sort of eager to find out what is wrong so we can get it fixed. 10 months earlier, I had back surgery to fix an old fracture in my spine. The doctors thought that it might be the culprit for why I couldn't walk long distances. I'd been a Ukrainian dancer for years, so I knew how my legs should be moving, and it was really easy for me to notice that something was off. Shanna replied to me, "I know. It will be good to not have it hanging over our heads anymore, especially going on the trip tomorrow." "How much do you know about ALS?" I looked over at Shanna and she was completely in shock. I reached over and I put my hand on her. "Well, I've heard that when you get diagnosed, you usually have 2 to 3 years to live." Over the next 20 minutes, the neurologist explained everything and answered all my questions before explaining next steps and closing by asking, "Do you have any more questions?" Shanna actually looked over at me. "Mike, do you still want to go on the trip tomorrow?" "I don't know. Can I go?" "Yes," the doctor said. "You should go." She told us that she thought it would help us take our mind off things. The next morning on the drive to the airport, so many scenes were running through my head. We were heading to the Okanagan to celebrate 3 40th birthdays, and I didn't know how to tell them the news. I didn't want my problems to be a big downer for the trip, but I could tell things were going to be miserable if I didn't get it off my chest. We all met up at the restaurant near the gate, and as we were sitting around drinking coffee, I was shaking inside. I knew I had to tell them right then. I knew that they wouldn't want me to hold it back. Conversation died as they kind of looked over at me. I turned to Shanna, and she sort of gave me the nod. So we were at the doctor's yesterday, and they told me I have ALS. It was quiet for a moment, and then I shared everything the doctor had said and the actions I was going to take. At the end of my monologue, I told them, "There's not a lot of hope, but there's a little bit, and more than anything, I want to have fun this week with you guys." Slowly they started asking me some questions, and as we chatted, things started to feel different. I could feel immediate acceptance and reassurance. And as we walked to the gate, I knew that I really made the right choice to go on this trip and be around these people. I was just one of the 6. There wasn't really any pity in their eyes and their actions. This was my tribe. They would help me move through whatever came next. The next 5 days were amazing. There was lots of music, laughter, conversations. Of course, there was some good wine too. We all knew that ALS was there, and we didn't avoid it, but we also didn't focus on it. I did what I could with the group, and sometimes I stayed back with Scott. We played cards and chatted. It was different, but it wasn't any worse. On the last night, we sat around the living room, and the lights were dimmed. I played my guitar softly. It was calm and comfortable. As I looked around, I realized that this was a familiar feeling. I'd done many trips with close friends over the years, living in close proximity for extended periods of time. I'd seen how being around people who you know and trust can help spread the grief around, so that you don't need to face it all on your own. I decided that I was starting the whole ALS experience off the right way, and I knew that no matter what happens, part of me will always live on through my tribe.